All right, Randy Cross here, and welcome to my podcast. This should be an abbreviated version, but nonetheless a fun one with a little Thanksgiving touch at the end. And speaking of Thanksgiving, I just wanted to go over a few things that I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for my family, my mom and dad, who did all they could do. We weren't raised exactly lavishly, but they did fine. I had 5 sisters and a brother. So there were 7 kids, and you could imagine that was an interesting house, to put it lightly. I'm thankful for all their families, because there is now a pretty good-sized extended family from there. I'm very thankful for my family, my beautiful wife, Patrice. Been married now for almost 41 years. She's the best thing easily that ever happened to me. And my 3 kids, Kelly, Crystal, Brendan, my 2 granddaughters, Charlotte and Cameron, those 2 are the light of our lives. And I'm very thankful for those 2. I'm thankful for all my friends and my teammates and my coworkers over the years. I'm thankful that I've basically had 2 careers. I've had a sports football career and I've had a sports broadcasting career. I've been in TV and radio now for better than 31 years. And I have no delusions about how lucky I am to have done that. And thank you to all the companies on the radio side and CBS and NBC on the TV side. I'm thankful for being raised curious and questioning just about everything. And especially from my parents, I think I got to give them credit for a calm way to view things. And a calm way to view things, as we all know, is kind of rare these days. I'm very, very thankful for a group that I thank regularly. We don't thank enough. I'm thankful for our armed services all over the world and everything they're doing to keep us safe. I'm thankful for our police, our firefighters, the EMS, all the first responders, and everything they do. When you see one in uniform, all these guys, the armed services, the police, the firefighters, the EMS, all of them, just say thank you. It doesn't take anything. It's nothing for you. There's no effort to say thank you. And trust me, that means something coming from a citizen, just to say thanks. And right now, this time of the year, thankful is the way I feel. But maybe perhaps looking over the last year and the last couple of years, I'm just thankful too that I'm not among those butthurt idiots that get crazy about the littlest stupid things. But more importantly, I'm grateful that I read and study and look, and I don't believe every damn thing people tell me. And unfortunately, that is a rare thing these days. Okay, that's it for me. Enough said, I'm thankful. Right now, time to head into sports. All right, sports today is going to be a bit of a 3-headed monster. The first monster is college football and all the scores around the world of college football. And there were some pretty impactful ones this year. A lot of blowouts, as you'd expect, because there were some stiffs, but also some upsets and some scores that are going to really play into how these games now happen in the next few weeks. Let's start things off with the number 1 team in the country for now, LSU. They beat Arkansas 56-20. That was an impactful game, but hardly a surprise. The next game up is Ohio State and Penn State. That game was probably closer than a lot of people thought it was going to be, but Ohio State got off to a pretty good lead. Penn State came back, give them credit, and this was a top 5-6 team not too long ago. But Ohio State has the talent, and with Chase Young back on defense, collecting sacks. I mean, he gets 3-pointers like it's nothing. And when I say 3-pointers, I mean 3 sacks. It was crazy. This kid is so talented. And between Dobbins and Fields and him, That, to me, is the number one team in the country. Next score up was Georgia. Georgia played Texas A&M, who, I don't know, what's the compliment you want to say? It might be the best 3 or 4 loss team in the country? Best 4 loss team in the country? I don't know. That's sort of an oxymoron. But Georgia won 19-13. There's something about this that is kind of concerning. I live in Georgia. I'm not necessarily a huge Georgia fan. My kids are. My daughter is, especially, Kelly, who graduated from Georgia. She's raising her little girls to immediately learn, go dog sick 'em every time she sees a kickoff. But they're going to have to here pretty quick in the SEC championship deal with a team that has a lot of offense. And we really don't know if this offense can answer the call and match somebody with points. That's going to be the challenge for Georgia. Love their defense, but against this high-powered LSU offense, I've got my doubts. Though this is the team I picked at the beginning of the year to be the national champions. All right, next up, Alabama. Speaking of national champions, they've had a few of those over the last decade or so, and they played Western Carolina. Surprised it was this close. They played a lot of backups. They played their new starting quarterback. Okay, he did well. It was Western Carolina. Thank you. All right, next up. How about this one? Herm Edwards. Who's laughing now at Arizona State hiring Herm Edwards, the old guy out of TV, the former player, former coach? We played to win the game. Well, they played this one to win the game, and they beat number 6 Oregon. Huge win for Herm in Arizona State. Huge, embarrassing loss for a team that a lot of people, including myself, thought had a chance to be in the college football playoff. No chance any longer. The Pac-12 is now down to Utah. Period. All right, next up on the list. How about the Utah Utes over Arizona 35-7? Very complete team. This is the team that embarrassed my UCLA Bruins last week, and went on to semi-embarrass Arizona this week. They're going to be tough. I can't wait to see that Pac-12 championship game between Utah and Oregon. Next up, the Oklahoma Sooners had a little struggle with TCU. Hey, you got to expect that. TCU still has a lot of fight in them. Coach Patterson and his football team, they're talented. But OU comes out of this one on top and sets up a rematch with Baylor in the Big 12 championship game. Next score up, row the boat, ski-u-ma, all those other slogans that their coach likes to talk about. Minnesota beat Northwestern 38-22, and they are set up now for their biggest game in a while, bigger maybe even than Penn State in a couple weeks. Next week, they play this team, Wisconsin, who easily has the best running back we've seen in college football in the last few years, Jonathan Taylor, who ran for 200 yards again for the 13th time. So he broke a tie with some very significant football players, guys like Marcus Allen, Barry Sanders, those kind of guys. Ron Dane. So he's on his way to having more 200-yard games than anyone in the history of college football, at least at the FBS level. And next week will be a very interesting game between Minnesota and Wisconsin. I can't wait to see it personally. All right. Next on the hit parade is a score I love to include for one reason and one reason only. Texas has lost it. They have left the building. Baylor beat them. You expected Baylor to beat them. Baylor still isn't, an empty chair. I know, they're decent. They have a lot of offense. Texas has a terrible defense. And the offense has sort of gone away too. But I had to set that up because Baylor, will have another game here with Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game. All right. One more thing in sports, or at least the second thing in sports. I don't know how big a fan you are of boxing. Many people think it's too violent. I was raised on boxing, so I love boxing. I was such a fan of boxing, and I'm old enough. I used to listen to boxing on the radio with my dad. And that's back in the Cassius Clay / Muhammad Ali days when he was fighting in Germany and all over the world and beating everybody's butt back then. Well, there's a guy out of Alabama named Deontay Wilder. That's him on the left-hand side. Mr. Ortiz on the right-hand side is another big puncher, big physical fighter. Now, Deontay Wilder, if you haven't seen him fight, check this fight out and watch his right hand.
Now Wilder needs to get back in the center as King Kong trudges forward. A right hand, down goes Ortiz. Oh my goodness. This one is over. There is a reason why he is the baddest man on the planet. Example right there as Deontay Wilder has once again finished off Luis Ortiz in spectacular fashion.
Well, we're going to see Wilder fight Tyson Fury eventually again. This guy, I think, is the baddest man on the planet, like they just said. I think he is the best heavyweight. Fury can box a little bit better, but nobody can hit like Tyson Fury. Speaking of hitting, last sort of sport involved here, let's talk a little bit about the NFL. And how about my Niners? Last night on Sunday Night Football, supposedly the first of 3 gigantic challenges for the Niners, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers came into Santa Clara, into Levi Stadium, and San Francisco just slapped them around the field. The defense played amazing. They sacked Aaron Rodgers like crazy. The offense, led by Jimmy Garoppolo and Deebo Samuel, and go down the list. George Kittle had a huge, long touchdown play, which was very entertaining to watch. So this Niner team's for real. Now, they still have a couple of big games to go. They still have the Saints to deal with, which will be a heck of a game. But I think it's safe to say football's back in the Bay Area in a big way. And I couldn't be happier for those fans because they have amazing fans. And you see it now at the home games. It's a huge home field advantage. Congratulations to all those 49er faithful and the 49er organization. All right. Time for a little, I guess I'm going to call this football Wahmbulance. Check it out.
You better grab your blankie and just squeeze it real tight. These people need to get a real life.
You use the term, you people, or these people. It can sometimes get you in trouble. Well, there was a game Saturday, and it was Harvard and Yale. You know, one of those games where they say, gee, we've played 150 times or something, and it's Ivy League, so it's not exactly hugely attended and or hugely watched, but it was on TV, and the reason it was the lead-in. It was an early game that was going to lead into a big game later for the American Conference. Well, there was one slight little problem. During warm-ups, protesters decided they were going to hold things up and they wanted to talk and protest about climate change.
Attempting to bring more attention to climate change. Lots of protesters on the field inside the Yale Bowl. Harvard leading a very consequential game in the...
How much fun. Well, the game was delayed quite a while. In fact, it was delayed long enough that there was some question as to whether or not they'd be able to finish it because the Yale Bowl doesn't have lights. and the sun was going down, and there was going to be a problem. Well, they finally finished it, though they did have to go to overtime to finish that contest. But it's kind of come to this. But it's a good indication of where some people are on that particular subject, that they keep, I guess, buying into it to a degree, to the degree that they let it sort of overwhelm their lives. Good luck. Can't say that I agree. And to be honest with you, can't say I care what they think. But they have every right to do that, because you know what? This is America. Hey, I thanked the military earlier. Check out this feel-good story. You gotta love this.
This is the good news. This is the good news.
Yeah, we've run quite a few of these, you know, the homecoming things and whatnot. This is about Christmas, and this is about Santa Claus. This is about Daddy and how Mom and Santa surprised the kids that Dad was going to be home for Christmas. Watch.
You'd like Daddy for Christmas. Where is Daddy?
Yeah. What an amazing story. I love these. I'm a sucker for these stories, and they are fabulous. And the smile on those kids' faces, especially that little boy. How about the smile on that little boy's face for his dad? Hey, I want to thank you for watching this podcast. If you have any suggestions, it's producer@randycross.com. Want to remind you, you can find this on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, iTunes, Twitter, thegruelingtruth.com, and barnburner.ca. Or you just cut out the whole thing and go to randycross.com, because it'll be up there. All right? This is the holiday season. But before we get to Christmas, which we kind of already did in the show, but we got to have Thanksgiving. And what's Thanksgiving without kids helping in the kitchen?